Okay, welcome everyone. Let me just sort my sound out. Okay, I can see people logging in. Good. Okay, so we've got a great evening planned for everyone. So welcome to the podcast for College of Vedic Studies, Birmingham. Huge welcome to everyone. And if you are new, then we are talking to practitioners of Bhakti Yoga every 2 weeks on a Monday evening. It's a relaxed vibe, no heavy philosophy. The working week has just started. Some nice Bhakti-centric discussion is what we're going to have. On a Tuesday, the College of Vedic Studies has a question and answer session. On a Wednesday, we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, a text with tons of Bhakti in it. And on a Thursday, we're doing an artistic and creative session on the key verses and themes of the Bhagavad Gita. So for all of you that are tuning in, please plug yourself in. If you feel to, send a message to the College of Vedic Studies Facebook page for more information, or at the end of this podcast, we'll have the email and details on there. So that is what we do. We have a great team, great set of teachers. We wouldn't be able to do it without all of those guys. So tonight, however, we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Kishori Jani. And my wife and I wanted to choose one word to describe Kishori, to introduce her. So my wife chose the word delightful, and I chose the word remarkable.
Oh my gosh! Oh gosh! That reflects you both.
So delightful, I'd say delightful because she brings a certain energy and attitude to any room that she's in, and remarkable because she has achieved and is still achieving so many beautiful things in Bhakti and in life. We could talk on so many things, but some themes that I wanted to highlight tonight were her upbringing in Bhakti, her love for the pilgrim spots in the Bhakti tradition, her mood on broadcasting the principles of Bhakti, and definitely something on motherhood. So Kishori, welcome. I'm very happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful and honestly honored to be with you all this evening, honestly, and missing you all. It's been too long that we've all been able to come together. So at least this is a little glimpse. And
how normal it's become to just talk to people on a screen, isn't it?
Yes, it's better than nothing. So thank you. Very grateful to be here.
No, thanks for being with us, for sure. Let me just acknowledge some people who have tuned in. Nalini, Maji, my dad is there. Kumud, my mummy is there. So many family people. Gemini, my cousin's there. Bharti, Ashwin, everyone. Okay, thanks.
Oh, so nice to see you all.
You can all ask questions or make comments or even corrections if you want to correct me on something. Devesh, cool. So I wanted to just delve into your life, which is just full of bhakti. This is the bhakti lens.
Oh my gosh.
So we're looking at the world through bhakti. So I thought I'd start with quite a unique childhood, because it was filled with bhakti, right? What would you say?
Yes, in one sense, absolutely. When I think about it, I can't say now that it was filled with bhakti, but as a child, I didn't really know the difference, obviously. But all credit goes to my parents in giving us that unique upbringing. As a child, you don't know what you're being given, and it's hard to possibly appreciate it. But now looking back, it was, yes, certainly filled with bhakti.
I've got some pictures. As everyone knows, I always like showing pictures, and I managed to get hold of some. Let me just share. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, I can. Wow.
What's
Truly
going on?
a blast from the past.
Okay.
I can't even remember the top one, to be honest. I want to say it's somewhere on the Yamuna.
Yeah, you're on the river.
That's my sister and some other devotees from ISKCON Ahmedabad, which is where I grew up. But we spent a lot of our time in Vrindavan as well, like on holidays. So I was born in Vrindavan thanks to my mother's very ardent desire to kind of give us that little special something, little boost early on in life. And so I have eight siblings, and she made it a point that to go to Vrindavan for every single child's birth. So that started it off, and then we grew up in Ahmedabad, but regularly went back to the Dham. And I think the first picture was Sandhi Yamuna, and the second is obviously with my parents. That's my mother and father, and my younger brother.
So where is your mother from? Your mother's American?
Mother is American and father is Gujarati. So They both are followers and disciples of Srila Prabhupada. They met Srila Prabhupada in America in, I would say, 70, 71.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's amazing to even comprehend how that was enough for them, understanding the philosophy in some whatever form that they received it in, and that was enough to convince them to pretty much give their life to Srila Prabhupada and to give their life to this path of bhakti. So my mother moved to India like 50 years ago, I guess, now. She's probably gone back twice to America, and that's it. So she's more Indian than anyone anyone I know.
Yeah.
My father is Gujarati, yes.
So your mom can speak like fluent Hindi?
Yeah, fluent Hindi and some Gujarati. She's been sharing bhakti or giving out books and preaching, as they say, out to locals pretty much the last 40 years. So she's found her way to relate and to connect with everyone she meets. So, it's not perfect grammatically or anything, but it's people get it.
So I don't think you know this, but once I was in Vrindavan one Christmas period, so it's December, and there was a lady who asked me to charitably sponsor like a box full of Bhagavad Gitas, and I did. And then afterwards, Yadav, who I was with, said, "Do you know who that was?" that was Kishori's mom.
Yeah, the marathon period is her life and joy. They do this Christmas marathon in December all over the world, where they do a little extra boost of giving bhakti to everyone. And
so she told me these Bhagavad Gitas were going to go into places of education,
schools,
and also prisons.
Yeah,
I think she was saying prisons. So
yeah, they give out a lot of free books because sometimes people come and they don't have enough cash, or they don't want to pay for it or whatever, and they are able to give him out. So that's well done. I'm sure she really would have appreciated and given you all her blessings.
Well, I need her blessings without a doubt.
Oh.
So tell us about like actually growing up. Then you're born in India. You're in like
Yeah.
and you grew up in the state of Gujarat. Is that right?
Yeah. So my parents were in Gujarat since the beginning of ISKCON in Gujarat. They pretty much started the temples there, and so the base became Ahmedabad, which is a pretty big metropolis now. If you've been there, it's a decent city. We moved around to a few different temple venues, but I grew up in the temple. So if you've ever been to the Ahmedabad temple, it's a beautiful Jaipur style Radha Govinda Dev temple now. So I grew up on those premises, and it was very, I've just had such fond, happy, positive memories because I went to normal school. My siblings went to Gurukul. I was the only one out of the 8 of us to have gone to normal public school the whole time. But along with that, it was very much a temple upbringing, which meant waking up at, for Mangal Aarti, as they say, and chanting, and then going off to school and coming back and doing some service. I was very attached to making Srinathji's garlands. So even when I was 8, 9, 10, I made garlands my whole life, and that was it's come back in my life later on in years, and I can pinpoint that service as being the thread that's really held me and kept me attached and connected to Bhakti. So little things that we take for granted, we may think, this is just maybe a monotonous and external routine that we do, but every little thing adds up. And the habit of waking up early in the morning, or the habit of chanting or meditating with others, it's quite profound. We don't realize it early on in life, but now in motherhood, I'm like, oh yes, that was every little counts.
Yeah. So so some people say that like a garland is an embrace, like it's making something that is an embrace, so sort of embrace the whole day, right?
Yes, it's just such a personal, intimate, actual service that if you accept the idol, the they'll call it all kinds of things, the statue, but if you accept that is the supreme person, and that you're making something and offering that with love, it transforms the entire perspective. So yeah, that was a big part of it. And also preaching, like this word preaching, which essentially just means sharing and trying to spread Krishna's message, the message of the Bhagavad Gita. That was very much part of our childhood, because my parents, that's what devotees do. That's what temple life was about. A lot of Harinams, going out on the streets with, as I'm sure many of us have seen. Now it's becoming a bit rare. Now, we do more, what's the word? More looks better. We don't go out on the streets as we did before. We tried to be a bit more posh and reserved about our preaching. But we just used to regularly with the entire temple, and that's still some of the highlights, the most joyous moments of sharing this practice.
So how often would you do that? Like, how often would you go out on Harinam?
Harinam was every Sunday. It was called the Sunday Harinam, Maha Harinam. But on a day-to-day basis, just there was a lot of just temple activity. The routine is, I'm sure maybe that you've got the morning program and the evening program, and it was just everything revolved around temple life. So it was very positive, very sattvic, this word sattvic, in the mode of goodness, meaning there was no TV. I never watched movies, zero. I've never had, there was no such thing as buying stuff like that. I never had things to buy. I never went shopping. It was just either it just magically showed up. People would give us stuff, and when I think about it, it's such a profound and rare experience, and it really has an effect. The more we buy, the more we consume, the more we are dependent on those kind of experiences to fulfill us. It's a lifelong thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very different upbringing.
Yeah, no, it's unique because obviously the conventional one is like we live in a home, we get sent to school, we come back and we're kind of trained in the art of like developing desires and trying to obtain those desires.
Be comfortable. There was never like the thought of, oh, well, I don't have a bed, so I should get a bed. I don't have a cabinet, so I should get a cabinet. It was just whatever you had, that was enough. It was absolutely sticks and stones were perfectly well, they served the purpose of entertaining us the whole day. It was not a question of, well, we have nothing to watch.
Simple life.
Simple living, high thinking. Yeah, that was, and it leaves a lot of mental space then to actually go deeper. And when you're switched on, you're like, actually, like I can still remember listening to my father because he was the head and preaching all the time and giving lectures. And those lectures still stand out to me because I was available to just sit and listen. And then you create that. There was no TVs. I'm like, all right, I'll listen to him. Yeah.
So where do you
leave a little space?
Oh, you leave a little space, yeah. So where do you sit in your siblings? Are you like one of the eldest, one of the youngest, middle? Where are you?
I am the middle child, number 5, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
5 brothers.
So many. What was that like?
Yeah, what was that like? Crazy. But in a very positive way for me. Maybe the middle child syndrome. I don't know. There's something to be said about that. But we also had very different experiences. The boys went off to the boarding schools, the spiritual boarding schools, gurukuls, their whole life. A whole education, 10 years or something. And so I went to normal public school and was always at home with my parents. So they obviously had a different experience, and it's another story. But for me, having those siblings was so much fun because we only saw them in the summers. So our summer vacation was just full-blown excitement. And it's in Ahmedabad, it's like 50 degrees, so you just stay indoors. Wow. There was one room with an AC. We'd try to just hover around there for 2 months, eat lots of mangoes, and just wrestle and fight. And it was great. It was having lots of siblings has really, allowed me to have, I feel, a more balanced view of the world, because you're forced to look at things from more angles. Everyone has a different experience, and we're very bent on sharing it and expressing our views. And so you learn how to put yourself in more shoes more often and share and just understand that you're not the center of the world. And it's a healthy thing. So I definitely believe in having siblings and the benefit of it.
Yeah. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about
well, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying personally, I had a good experience. I had such a wonderful.
It's very foreign to myself because it's just me and my sister. But like both my mum and my dad had 7 or 8 siblings, so it's like family this